Everyone today. Are we doing well? Okay. Everyone had a good Fourth? You enjoyed celebrating your tyranny? My cousin from Canada, he sent that, happy 4th of July. I forgot exactly what it said. Do you remember? It's like you little colonist. Yeah. It's like, way to go. All right. Had a great 4th of July. I had the opportunity to perform a wedding on the 5th. So we were traveling on the 4th, heading down to Weatherford, which is a beautiful area. I'd never been. Absolutely beautiful. This young lady is 2 weeks younger than my daughter. They were both born in September 2002. And so I got to watch her. I held her as a baby. I watched her grow up. I watched her play sports in high school. And then I got the phone call of, will you please perform our wedding? We can't think of anyone else but you. And I said, absolutely. And so we were down there. Everyone asked if we were happy up here in Canyon. Since, she's from Bowie, so it's all the Bowie-ites were there. And it was really hard to say yes. You know what I mean? It wasn't hard because I wasn't lying to them. But how do you say to people that you spent 20 years of your life with that help raise your kid? What happened? What happened?
Her new nickname is Video.
I have a T-shirt for that, but I'll tell you later. Sorry, where was I in my story? Oh, how do you say to somebody that you love, that you cherish, help raise your kids, that helped us with our marriage even, and say, man, I'm really, really happy. But I did. 100% told them, and it was good to see everyone, spend the weekend with them, and then we came back yesterday for Gwen's memorial service, which was David did a phenomenal job on that. All right, so we're going to look over chapters 3 and 4. Somebody asked me, how many chapters are we going to try to cover in a session? If you go to the table of contents in your workbook, if you just go to your table of contents, you're going to see what we're going to have to do. Next time we're together is chapters 5, 6, and 7. That's session 5. So that's fine. We'll wait on you. You're welcome. And we stream this so everyone knows. So just follow your table of contents in the beginning of the workbook, and that will tell you what we're going to try to cover within our time here together. So there's about 14 sessions. So we'll be over time a little bit, but that doesn't bother me a bit. Okay. So that's what we're going to cover. That's how much you're going to know. What Sally and I have found to be really helpful, we downloaded the audio book. And so we listened to it together, and then we discussed some things. We were traveling, and that's what we did. We threw on the audiobook, and we listened, and we talked, and it works really well. Are you doing your homework? I have one no. Wow, that was very truthful. I got a kinda. Okay. All right. So make sure you do your homework. Go through the questions. That's where it's going to help the most. What we discuss in here is going to help, and it's good things that we are discussing. I'm hoping you've already read through the material, right? And then you can bring in some of your own insights. So we will walk through this session 3 together. There's a couple questions that I really want to look at with you and talk about. And I think this is a good session. A quick question. This is what my wife felt like when we finished chapter 4. Do you feel like he's repeating himself, ladies? Yeah? Okay. If you went through your if you did your session, verse 19. Question 19 really he asked that question, ladies, I'm not hammering this, I'm not just hammering in on you on this. I think he's looking at this and really driving it home, and I believe he has repeated himself quite a bit in chapters 3 and 4. But I think when he wrote the book, this was a new concept. I don't know about you, but when I went to a lot of marriage seminars We hosted marriage seminars in the congregations I have been at. And it's really looking at how the loving one another, make sure men love. When he came out with this, the respect side of things really wasn't being taught like that. And so he is really honing in on that. And I think that's one of the reasons, but I think it's a big deal that we... Have you heard in other marriage seminars the respect side of things? No, right? And so you usually hear the other side, love, 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 talk about ways of love languages, and everything like that. And so I believe that's why he's honing in on it and really bringing it home, because it does help within the marriage, okay? Anything jump out at you before we start in chapter 3? Anything jump out that you want to talk about first?
Yeah, I didn't know a man wrote the song R-E-S-P-E-C-T.
I didn't either. Who? It was Otis, what? Yeah, I did not know that at all. And when he talked about the history of that, it hit me. I was like, what? And it's actually from a male's point of view, that song. And I didn't know. But how do you say her name? Aretha Franklin really brought that out and talked about it. So yeah, I didn't know that either. I didn't have that in my notes today. So yeah. Anything else jump out at you?
One thing I thought about, all these stories that he's telling, I think they're different couples, and it's not the same couple, it's just not learning anything from each other.
Say that again.
Well, he tells all these stories.
Yeah.
And I was just hoping that they're different couples and different perspectives, and not just one couple that's not learning from anything after all these years.
I hope it's different couples as well. I think it is. Number 2 in your book. So I'm on page 44 in the workbook if you have your books with you. But number 2 says he was talking about unconditional respect. And so we are going to talk about this, but he said, is it an oxymoron? What did you think he meant by that when you read that and he talked about it? It's on page 42 through 44 in your Love and Respect book. In many years of counseling, Emerson often heard women say that they never heard the 2 words unconditional respect put together in the context of a relationship, page 43. To these women, unconditional respect sounds like an oxymoron. Well, why does it sound like an oxymoron to women like that? Okay, and we've always been, everyone has been told that. You know, you don't get respect, you earn respect. Where did that come from, and who taught that? And it's not a bad thing, okay? Like, I believe that. You know, I taught my kids that. So where did that come from, and why?
My answer would be culture.
Culture, okay.
The culture we grew up in, that you have to earn the respect and show somebody that you're worth your weight.
Okay, so you're worth your weight. Yeah, like, and you should deserve. You don't deserve it. You earn that respect. Anybody else want to jump in?
I think men show other men respect more than women do.
Okay, so men show men respect better than women showing men respect. Interesting. I think we're going to hit on that today. Is there a difference between the respect that you're talking about, Justin, and what he is talking about in the book? The respect that is unconditional from the passage of Ephesians 5:33. Is there a difference in those respects?
I think there is just in a relationship that respect is important. Most of the time, it's just people we're in contact with, coworkers, family members, people that we haven't necessarily chosen to be in a relationship with. We're just placed into these situations, and so I want to respect you, but it's kind of conditional on: are you doing your work? Am I going to have to do your work for you? Are you going to clean your room, or am I going to have to ride you to take out the trash, clean your room?
Yeah.
That kind of respect is just due to the interaction in our relationships. And in a marital relationship, you've made a covenant together. I think it's having that unconditional respect is contingent on a successful commitment and relationship moving forward.
I like that commitment into that relationship. And it is different. And you're right, because when we're in our workplace, people will earn that respect through their actions, through the words, and are you getting the job done? Can I take a step back and look at what's going on, and you can earn that respect. Comes from character as well. But when you look at the marital relationship, you're right. This is different than our workplace. That respect is a little bit different. Anybody else want to chime in? Well, look here at verses. I have to get this out of my mind. Sorry, my mind is 4 different places. Listen to what it says here, and it's in number 2, A, B, or C. Choose from the following ideas, write on your own. They think respect is something a husband has to earn. Is it true or false? What do you think about that?
I would want to marry somebody I didn't.
Okay. Why do you think that there are times when the wife feels like they need to earn that respect instead of giving it unconditionally? It goes back to what we're taught. It's a foundational truth. We're taught you earn the respect. I'm going to see what you're doing. I'm going to see what you're doing. I'm going to see how you are in relationship with me. How are you talking to me? How are you interacting with me?
I think it shows your stage of relationship.
Oh.
I see, and I use this a little bit.
Yeah.
These chapters that I read were like reflecting back to the highs and lows of our marriage, but like early on, very much respected him, as a husband. But then as life goes on, and it becomes almost like a business partnership.
Yeah.
We didn't take care of it earlier on. And so then it's like, okay, now he needs to earn my respect, and then I'll show it to him.
Yeah.
So, and then hopefully, but that was just the stage of not keeping the marriage a marriage, and it just becoming a marriage.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing.
I think there's a devil's advocate part of this. Colin and I talked about, is it possible to have unconditional anything? Because the only person that was ever had unconditional love was Jesus Christ.
Mm-hmm.
So to say that you have unconditional respect or unconditional love for each other, I think is getting over your skis a little bit. I think, a little unrealistic. I think it's on some level you can have a little bit of conditions attached.
And I think that's the human side of this. And that human side, we don't even think about it. We're going to attach something to this. And I think it's difficult to even understand it sometimes. And I like what you're talking about there, that to reach, that's what we're trying to do within our marriages. We're trying to reach these moments and grow within that relationship. And I think it does come with time as well, like you were saying. I'm just going to read B and C here. They think husbands are so unloving, they don't deserve respect. They think that giving a husband unconditional respect is giving him a license to do what he wants. What did you think about that one when you read that?
All of this, I keep thinking about keeping score, and I think
Yeah.
we kind of all have done that.
Yeah.
Whether we're currently doing it or have done in the past. But you're a marriage, it's so intimate and close that, like, you are going to keep score, and you have to constantly remind yourself not to do that. Because your marriage is based on love and respect, and give and take, and sacrifice, self, and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. I like it.
I think too, sometimes we think, or maybe I should just say, if I behave well enough, if I act good enough, if I do everything right and watch my TV cues and, all the things that truly I'll be treated like I want to,
Yeah.
without having to say anything.
Yeah. And so I thought about that all the way through these chapters too, is if I do everything right, I should get.
Yes.
And so it goes back to what we're talking about. And tell me if I'm wrong on this. Like, I think Emerson is just like, guys are supposed to be pouring this love, into my wife. And I think the same way. If I do this, this, and this, and this, then I should get a response from my wife. What happens when this response doesn't come? What do we do then? Huh? So I'm gonna switch. There's gonna be a switch when I've said I've done everything I could. I'm out. Right? And then what begins? When I don't show her the love I'm supposed to give her, then she's going to react, and she's going to react in a way that is unrespectful to me. And then I'm going to say, well, I don't feel any of this respect that I really want in my life. And then it starts the cycle back over again, and I'm back into the cycle. And so this is one of those things that's extremely hard to do. And I think that's when we come to this time of communication. We talked about that last week with the blue glasses, the blue hearing aids, the tanks. It's communication, and we didn't talk about it last week, and we should have. You have to figure out the ways of filling up that tank. How do you pour that love? I have to figure out how can I tell Sally that I love her? It goes into that love languages thing. We don't have time to go into those. There's other things I can do. Flowers. Oh, I hate buying flowers. They die. I'm spending a lot of money on death. You know what I'm saying? But you know what my wife loves? Flowers that will die.
Occasionally.
Like once a year is more than I need to do. But what I've realized was I have to spend hard-earned money on something that's going to die. You say that.
Walking into the house and somebody picked up something on their way home and said, I got it on the way home.
Oh, that's what she says to me, right? And
It's like I compare what does he bring me versus what he brings the dog.
look. I don't know what I can tell you what I'm thinking right now. A little disrespect. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm feeling right now. Good night. Look, I love that dog, okay? We walk together. He snuggles. He knows. She's actually asked the question, do you love that dog more than me? I'm like, baby, don't be asking questions. Come on, we're doing good right now in our marriage.
We're talking about giving respect, but women sometimes have to use that giving of respect as a defense mechanism if they're in a relationship with a manipulative person.
Okay.
And we all have to learn not to be a manipulative person.
Yes.
As we develop in our relationship.
Good.
I had to learn, and I'm still learning, that having an argument is not about winning an argument. It's about solving a problem.
Mm-hmm.
You can either win the argument or you can solve the problem. You can rarely do both.
Yeah, I love it.
So if I'm trying to manipulate her, then she is going to withhold respect from me as a way to get me to stop manipulating her.
I really appreciate that. I think that's exactly what we're talking about. Are we doing the things like love or respect to manipulate the relationship to get what I want out of it? Right? And so we need to come with this with pure motives. Going back to, if you remember in chapter 2 even, he talks about that when you come into this relationship and you're talking and you're trying to interact with your spouse, you have to have, they're trying to have the best intentions in mind, right? That's what he talked about. Remember, they may not be doing the right thing, but their intentions are good. And so we want to make sure this is pure motives of strengthening our relationship. I underlined something on page 45. Is it okay for a wife to show respect even though she does not feel respect?
That's something that I was taught at Life in General.
Mm-hmm.
I worked for people that I did not respect, but I still had to show it.
Mm-hmm.
We teach that to our kids too. You say yes ma'am and no sir and please and thank you. And sometimes by actively showing that respect, it grows to a deeper respect.
Yeah, good. Anybody else? Yes?
I was going to say, you can have respect for the position before you have respect for the person. And I think that's kind of what Sally was saying, that, that can come in time.
Okay. Yeah. It's when you're working through it, that both sides working through this can come. So you kind of jump into number 7, and that's fine. We can jump over there. In that, he's talking about the firsts. Do you remember that part of the book? Talking about the firsts? Y'all are reading, right? Make sure you're reading your chapters, okay? When you come to this one, I think it's maybe it's in chapter Yeah, it's in chapter 3, but he's talking about first. He was using the passage from, I believe it was 1 Peter, but Galatians chapter 3, I think this, look on page 53 in your book. Look at page 53 in your book, open that up, and I think he will be able to explain that. And I believe that's what we're talking about, what you're discussing right now. Okay, so I'm in the first paragraph that you come to on page 53. It is as though that she is the princess and he is the prince. In Ephesians chapter 5, verse 33, the husband needs to be respected as the head, the one called upon to die. Christ is the head, loved the church and gave himself up for her. The price goes into battle for the princess, not vice versa. Consequently, the princess is not to seek the respect as the head. Instead, she earns to be honored, valued, and prized as a precious equal to fellow heirs of the grace of life, as Peter unfolds in 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Go ahead, somebody read that if you have your Bible. 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. Go ahead, can you read that for me, please? I'm going to finish this next paragraph. To carry further the word picture of the prince and princess, I believe a biblical order of things is that the prince, the husband, is to be considered first among equals. But that I mean, he is her equal, but he is called upon to be the first to provide, to protect, and even die if necessary. So read 1 Peter chapter 3, verse 7. What does it say?
Husbands, in the same way be considerate as you live with your wives, and treat them with respect as the weaker partner and as heirs with you of the gracious gift of life, so nothing more than theirs.
Yeah, so there's this honor and this respect that we are supposed to also give to our wives, but why do we give them to that? Why do we give that to them? Because it's so important. Because they are fellow what? Heirs. You know, we both believe in Christ. We both, I hope and I pray, you know, in your marriage that you've accepted the gospel and you're living for Christ, and we are fellow heirs. Do you remember what it says in Galatians chapter 3 and verse 28? Go ahead and quote it. You know it. If you don't, go find it. Galatians chapter 3, verse 28. Somebody read that for me when you get there. Galatians 3:28. And what Paul is going to be saying here, that, hey, in Christ we are equal. Right? What does it say?
There is neither Jew nor Greek, slave nor free, male nor female, for you are all one in Christ.
We're all one. We're all saved. We've all been redeemed, right? But what he also says in Ephesians chapter 5, he's talking about, hey, yes, we're all equal in God's eyes. We've all been saved. We've all been redeemed. But there is a place that the male is the head of that family, right? So we're the first among those equals. And how does that make you feel? Are you good? Are you guys awake? This is not normal.
This is one that's hard for the female,
Okay?
because I struggled a long time with the weaker best portion now. But at the same time, we offer the respect and we see them as the because we see it in levels. I'm not taking it.
No, you're good.
It's hard to raise 4 girls to be strong, independent women, but to also know that the male and their relationship needs to be respected each other. And that's a delicate.
It really is. And, you know, if I look at my wife, the one thing I don't see is saying, you're weak. I wish the Hacketts were here, because Brian has felt the wrath of Sally. We've grown enough in our relationship that Sally was like, here's my opinion. And I was like, whoa, I'm backing out of the room. But one thing I don't look at my wife is weak. She is independent. We got married when we were 30. She owned a bigger house than I did at the time. She had a great job. She lived on her own. And if I'm out of town or she's out of town, I don't have to worry. Sally's good. I don't worry about her spiritually. She loves God more than she loves me. She studies, she journals, she does her thing. I don't see her as a weaker, but there is a thing that God is saying to us. And he's saying, you are the head of that house. You are the head. And you are supposed to love her so much that you will give everything for her. Right?
But the flip side is.
Go ahead.
That's where, at first, when I started the book, and I'm a little while, it is a lot about the male, but looking back, using mine and Jay's
Mm-hmm.
It's just, the whole dynamic changes. And it's not, I mean, we are equal in Christ, but it's just how it's set up. And so, because there were times when I told him, I don't need you, and that was that business partner relationship.
Yeah.
That was like, you go travel, I got things handled here, when you come home, you actually mess things up. And that didn't, I mean, well, I know that sounds harsh, but I mean, honestly, I think we get into that rut of if you're strong and independent, you can handle it, you forget that you are there together.
Yes. You know, you're doing great. No, you're doing great. It's when both of these work together that's when it all totally builds up.
And if you look at boys play, if you look at teenage men or boys, men, I mean, they have to be needed.
Yeah.
And that's how we need to show respect is to need them.
Yeah.
So how much do you think our culture now plays a part into how both sexes feel about how, that's why we have to keep, I mean, how much has that snuck into the church and how we act and how we feel about things? It's just so hard because people are hammering you all the time about, where you go to church and because they don't understand how we think and how we should feel about our relationships. And one other thing I thought about is, so what's harder? Loving a woman like we should as a man, or the respect coming from the woman? And should I even be thinking about what's harder? Because I shouldn't even be thinking about that because they're both hard.
Yeah.
And at times, but really, one's not harder than the other. Although I still have my opinion about that. I think I have a harder time doing that than Marilyn respecting me because I've always felt that from her. I feel like I'm the one messing up, not loving her enough. And she's not here to defend herself. So I can say what I want to, but anyway.
It's recorded. It's fine. I want the class to comment on that. Did I just cut somebody off?
One of the things that
Sorry.
I think is, when I read this, it's so binary. The way that he talks says that can lead to the impression, if you're not really paying attention, that the only thing that men need is respect, and the only thing that women need is love.
Mhm.
And it's much more of a spectrum, I think. Like, if you are in a marriage where all you get is respect, and you don't get any love, that's a horrible way to live. And
Right.
if you're a woman and the only thing that you get is love, and your partner doesn't respect you as well, I mean, who would want to be in that?
Right. And I think what he's trying to do, and I know what you're saying, I think there's so many more emotions that are going to be playing out within a marriage, that there is love coming from me or coming from Sally to me, right? But I think it's that primal, that foundational, what do we need? He said it actually in question number, I skipped it. Question number 7, when he, nope, it's not question number 7. Well, I don't know what question it was. 5, number 5 in this series. When he asked 400 different men, what do you want more, right? The question was, where's my glasses?
Under your book.
Okay, thanks. In respect of Emerson reports, he asked the question, what would be better, to be left alone and unloved in the world, or to feel inadequate and disrespected by everyone? 74% said they would prefer being left alone and unloved than feeling inadequate and disrespected.
But the thing is, that's a binary question. It's either or.
Right.
He doesn't ask, men, do you want to live in a world where no one loves you?
Right.
I mean, it's...
Right. And I know what you're saying. Like, you need more than just respect, but he's really pounding on that basic, primal, foundational. And what he's noticed is, and I see it, is if we do this, everything else will also come into this as well, right? When I love my wife, I am going to show her some respect as well. It talks about that in chapter 3, that women also need respect and other emotions. But I think it's that primal, foundational, what are we really looking for and what do we need, especially within the marriage. So I want to I want to go back to what you were saying, Barry. I want to open this to the class. Is our culture and our society affecting our relationships within our marriage? In what way? Every way? Can you narrow it down to give me one example?
Men need to be weaker, step aside, there's always been a push for women to be independent, we don't need men. You see it in Disney, cartoons, you see it everywhere.
Okay? Somebody else? What? Music. I listened to like 4 songs.
It degrades women, it makes men sound stupid.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's like the whole destruction, everything starts with the destruction of marriage.
Yes.
I mean, once Satan figured out how to crumble a marriage, then a ripple effect is,
It's across the board.
it affects everything.
Absolutely.
And so through harmless things like music and Disney movies and T-shirts that say girl power or whatever it is, like it seems harmless, but it's not. It becomes woven into our like thought process and
Yeah. It really is. I remember Trey Morgan talking about if you destroy the family, you destroy everything. And the family starts with what? It's the marriage. It's the husband-wife relationship. It's not. It is also part of the children. We don't have time to get into all that, but
I mean, Reiki started off the local foundation of the church.
it is.
Christ is the head of the church, and so we don't even know what church formation and leadership looks like and what we don't know the families.
Yeah, it's been redefined, hasn't it? Even how we look at male and female. Well, that's redefining family, right?
John, to be fair, we've kind of earned the society that we've moved into.
I agree.
Because, I mean, historically, the world has been extremely patriarchal. We don't have to go over millennia, but before the recent movement, men are stronger, like physically.
Yep.
We are stronger, and we have been empowered for basically the history of humanity, as has some cultures. And what have we done with that? We have used that to push women down. Again, and we have used that power not to lift them up, not to make them successful. We have used that to push them down. And then, now we start to see women who are successful, who make more money than us, and now all of a sudden, oh, we're threatened. Like now I'm threatened, and maybe like I feel disrespected because, well, maybe we earned that because when we were in power, we didn't take care of the responsibility we had to uplift and take care of these other people.
We weren't doing what we were supposed to do through our side of what God is telling us what to do. You know, telephone. My mother-in-law.
Hey, be careful there.
I think I'm number 2 in the system, so I'm all right. I'm fine. But I want to go, you are right that we did not do what we were supposed to do throughout history. And even today, we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And we've developed and we've created what we're living in today. I got some hands. I'm going to come back to you in just a second. I loved how older generations gripe about the younger generations. It's kind of what you're kind of talking about, I think. Why are you griping at them? You raised them. They were in your house before they walked out. Are we on the same page?
Yeah, oh, I agree with that.
You know, and I feel like if we're doing what we're supposed to do, this whole thing works out. But I remember what Trey, I'm going to come to your hands. I got one here and I got one in the back. But Trey talked about if you destroy the family, you destroy everything. I'm going to start in the back. I'm coming back to you. Is that okay?
Destroy the family. All I was going to say is, at first I thought, oh, this is a conspiracy theory. So I think the government, I think the whole world wants to hear this as well. It's easier to control us if we don't have strong marriage than not. No, it's just the devil is winning because if you're not married and you don't have a strong marriage, then he's winning.
Yes.
The world is winning.
Yes.
And so we have to remember to put God on, resist the devil. I mean, and our role as a husband and wife in marriage.
Absolutely. Good. I love it. Go.
Our culture for the last 50-something years, almost 60 years, has been on a self-centered and selfish kick.
Absolutely.
That's what they're after. They're not the generation that won World War II. They're not the sacrificial group that went through the Depression. They're the me group. And now we're seeing that me has divorced themselves from reality.
Yeah.
And that's why we're seeing kids in high schools walking around with cattails and wanting litter boxes. I mean, it is literally divorcing themselves from the reality of the situation.
And what we've done with our society is go from a family-oriented society to a very selfish society. Everything that you have on your person is designed for you. Your preferences, your likes. Facebook will even show you stuff that you like, what comes up on your feed, because that's what you like. Everything is focused on you. And so we've changed from a family-oriented to self. I need to move. I appreciate your comments, and they're really good. But number 9, on page 57, it really brought something out, at least to me, when we're talking about all of this. Our words matter. I know I have 5 minutes, so this is the thing we'll end off on. I wish we had time for a little bit more. Yes, we have to do one more thing. Our words matter. Do you remember what he said? I think it's on page 57 when he was talking about this.
Of the book or what?
On the book. In the book. And I think I'm doing a paraphrase right now, but it's kind of like, hey, this is what she said to us. Your wife said it to you. Like, well, you're 6'2" and 200-something pounds. You should be able to take it. Words matter, right? I'm a big guy, but what my wife says to me really matters to me. And vice versa, men. We have to watch our words as well going the other way. If they are unloving, they matter. The other way, if it's a disrespectful thing, that matters. Who stonewalls in your marriage? I gotta go really fast here. Who stonewalls? I stonewall. You stonewall? Anybody else? Stonewaller? Most of the time it's guys, right? Any ladies who like to stonewall? Yeah, all right, get after it. Okay, I love to stonewall. When I am hurt, I stonewall and I push her away, and I have the mindset of, I just don't care. I'm good. And it really hurts our relationship. Man, give me a second. We got to go really fast on some of these. I want to hit these. Somebody read Proverbs chapter 15, verse 1. I have another one, Proverbs 16:24, and Proverbs 12:18. I'll hit those 3. Proverbs 15:1. Who has it? Go. I need Proverbs 16:24. Who has it? You got it? And then I need Proverbs 12:18. Who has it? Somebody has to go get it. 12:18. Okay, give me the first one.
A gentle answer turns away wrath, but harsh words stirs up anger.
Okay, say it nice and loud again. I love it.
A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger.
You hear that? That happened in your marriage? Harsh words? And we were like, how do we get to this point? Okay? It stirs up that anger. Give me the second one.
Gracious words are like a honeycomb.
Yeah.
Sweetness to the soul and health to the body.
Yes. I love it. Okay, give me the last one. Proverbs 12:18.
Reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing.
Is that true? That one speaks volumes to me. Me giving it and me receiving it. Words hurt. And it's one of those things that we have to understand, that when we are going to say something to somebody, our spouse, we have to listen to ourselves before we speak, right? In the moment that we have to talk to them, you feel like you need to say something or what's going on in your marriage, take the moment and say, I need to talk. And he talks about this for the next, 3 questions in here, that a husband may come home and you walk in the door and like, we got to talk. Right there, I'm like, anybody do that, guys? What happened? I just walked in and said hello to the dog. Should have said hello to you first. Right? So, and it's that scolding sometimes, and it's our harsh words unlovingly on the other side. I have a question. If you want to motivate, ladies, if you want to talk to your husband and say, I want to talk about these things, how do you start it to where it doesn't sound like criticism or scolding? I was really confused when I was listening to him. I agreed with some of the things he was saying. You know, our words come across wrong, our facial expressions, our tone of voice, and even the words that we say. So how would you start that conversation? Or just don't. That's fine too. Marriages are like long term. You'll get around to it at some point.
Guys need to know that, one, there's a problem that you perceive that they do not.
Yes?
2, you're trying to solve the problem, not win the argument. And 3, you want to work with them to solve the problem.
Okay?
If you approach the guys that way,
Yeah?
because guys are real problem solvers, they are. I mean, that's what they do at work every day, they solve problems.
Right.
And if you come up, we got this thing we need to work through, or work through with you on it, and,
I'd say over some food, because that's. Fixing something really yummy and.
Here's your plate. Hammer down. All right, yeah. You pick up the knife while you're cutting. Can we talk? Why do you have a steak knife, baby? We're going to find out. All right, fix them something yummy to eat. Hey, that's a true statement.
I mean, just gentleness.
Face to face doesn't always work. Like, it's too in his face.
Okay.
So if we're doing something, it's a lot easier to just have a conversation.
Yeah. Have you guys started, I know Second Bell, you got to go get your kids. I get it. I really do. Have you guys been talking about this in your marriages? Have you been sitting down and saying to your wife, are you loved by me? Do you know, like, I believe that Sally knows I love her, but are you feeling it? Are you having those conversations? Are you going the other way, ladies? Is it weird to say, I respect you? Is that weird to talk about? Because to me, it's interesting, but are you doing that within your marriages? It feels odd, but those are the conversations I want you to start having. Number 17, before you go, and we'll talk about this in the beginning of next class if we have enough time. We'll try to make time. It's easy to see what is done to us before we see what we're doing to our mate. That's a true statement, right? That one really hit me hard in our study. It's easy for us to see what our mate is doing, but not what we're doing to our mate. We'll pick up on that next week. Love you guys. I hope your marriages are doing well. Read and do your workbook. All right? God bless. We'll see you next week.